This is a virtual Zoom background, so it's not my house. Doesn't look like this.
Oh, I was like, you have the perfect couches for a talk show.
Yeah, right.
It looks so nice.
We can do that virtually, definitely. So what we're going to do today is really talk about your adventures out there at Barclays, if that's okay. Everyone happy with that? I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. So without further ado, maybe I can get you all to introduce yourselves. Just tell me who you are and what it is you do. Maybe start with Liz.
Like what we do for a living?
Yeah.
Like what we do in our
or
that's all I do is I run and I do what I do for a living. So my name is Liz Canty. I live in Huntsville, Alabama. And right now I'm a contractor for NASA building the next human landing system for the moon. So that's my day job.
Nice. So I read somewhere, I believe that you're a trained nuclear engineer. Is that right?
That's what I did for my first career. Career number one was nuclear science. Career number two was aerospace. Career number three might be bartender if I'm lucky enough. So when I'm finally done with all of this. But right now, yeah, that was my background is nuclear.
I'm like kind of mad, Liz, that we didn't get to talk about any of that while we were together for 27 hours.
It would have bored you, truly. This is actually, I can share my screen.
Busy, like figuring out where to go to talk about. Let's talk about rocket science.
It didn't help me, obviously. So, or at least a little bit. You know, they didn't teach me navigation in school. But yes, that's my world.
Wow. Okay, and what about Courtney?
Yeah, I mean, tough act to follow. My name is Courtney Dauwalter. I live in Colorado, and I just run.
Nice. Yeah, in not so many words, that's pretty much what you do, but you're pretty amazing in your own right. So we'll come to that. We'll toot all your horns later on. But Maggie, what about you?
My name is Maggie Guterl, and I live in Durango, Colorado, but I'm from the East Coast. And I am the event and athlete manager for Tailwind Nutrition in the US.
Nice. So apart from being incredible women, apart from having done the Barkley Marathons this year, you're all also Tailwind Trailblazers. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I allow myself to be on the Tailwind athlete team. So yeah, and Courtney and Liz are both one of our athletes.
Awesome. So we're big fans of Tailwind over here, and that's really great. And we'll ask a few questions related to that. But in the meantime, Liz, you might want to consider, instead of wine, having like a Tailwind mojito at the end of the day.
Oh, I actually already had my rebuild post run, and then I was trying to decide what beer I wanted, and I was reminded that there was an open bottle of wine for me because my husband is so great. And then he proceeded to go to Costco for me and do our grocery shopping and left me. That was lovely.
He left you with the wine. That's perfect.
And the puppies. He left me with my wine and my poodles and my podcast. And then he was like, I'll be back later. So
that's great. Okay. So with that, just wanted to give our watchers, listeners, a little bit more background about yourselves. So we're going to start with Liz, since you introduced yourself first. Apart from dealing with rocket science and, you're probably the youngest of the three here. Is that right?
We represent every decade.
So?
Great.
Yeah, we've got it all covered.
When did you start? When did you start running?
I started running when I was 24 years old. I'm 29 now.
Okay, so you haven't been running that long in relation to maybe the rest of us. Courtney, when did you start?
Like running or ultra running?
Just running as a little bit more seriously.
I grew up running, so since I was like 10 or whatever, and now I'm 36.
Okay, so you've been running for a very long time. Maggie?
Yeah, I mean, I started ultras around when I started running, so it was like only a couple years buffer there. And my first ultra is 2011, so yeah, it's like 10 years or something.
Okay, cool. So we've got a range of experience here as well. So when did you all start running long? Like Liz, when was your first ultra marathon, or when was your first super long race?
My first ultra was March of 2016 down in Alabama after I moved from Boston. I found a community here and decided that it would be fun. And I think I cried halfway through, but I ended up winning. And then I had several beers, found tailwind in that race after being sick for the first 20 miles. And then never looked back. And I've run one or two road marathons since, simply because I wanted to run Boston. Otherwise I stick to the trail.
Wow. Okay. So, and you've done a few FKTs this year, I think it is. Is that right? No, last year.
Yeah. Yeah, in October. Yeah, I did a few shorter ones, and then I did the long Smoky Mountain section of the AT, which is about 72 miles. And I did that in October, yeah.
Okay, and that was an FKT?
Yes.
Yeah.
The women's supported FKT, very specific. Don't want to upset anyone. The women's supported version of that FKT. Yeah. It was, I think I took about, it was like an hour off or something like that. I don't remember. It was 18:38 or something like that. It was a long day. That's all I remember at this point.
Nice. What was that distance again?
I think it was about 70 miles altogether, 71 miles. Okay. It all depends on where you start your watch and stop it, but it's supposed to be just the trail section, but usually we all run 1.5 miles of road before you get to the trail.
All right, so I have a big calculator here because miles.
Kilometers.
But I do have all these written down on a Post-it, like how to convert feet, miles, and Fahrenheit. So
wait, come on, Liz, just bust that out. What is that?
I know. I have to work in SI too, and I forgot to even think about that. And
no worries. 112
there you go.
Okay.
It's like a little over 100.
Yeah.
All right, so well done on the FKT, and I think we've had, so Courtney and Maggie, you guys, you've done some FKTs as well. I think Maggie, when was your last FKT? 2019?
I've never done one.
You haven't?
I just like to join other people when they try to go for them. It's more fun.
So I obviously have to stop you three for a little bit of research. And on the FKT official website, Maggie, you're on there as having done the Durango 7 Summit.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it's an FKT when you make it up yourself. Yeah. But my neighbor up the street did it, and she was able to knock off a bunch of time and stuff. So I'll have to do it again. But
yeah, I think a week later she knocked off something like 2 hours.
Yeah, and she taught me better ways to get to the different peaks. So my little route that I made up, I was kind of saw this other guy kind of drove to each trail head and summited each one in a day. And I was like, what if I just run it all together? And so I did that, and she found a bit of a better way. So everyone, I hope more people try it, but you can only go for it in a certain window because some of those are closed for wildlife and stuff during the winter for elk and stuff like that. So it's fun.
So you do have an FKT.
Yeah, it's not like a super competitive or well-known one, but yeah, I guess I used to because I don't have it.
That's very, very, very cool. Right. Courtney, do you have an FKT or any FKTs that you're aware of?
No, I have 0 FKTs.
According to the official website, that's true, but
yeah.
But you did attempt
course records.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Attempt a major FKT last year, did you not?
Yeah, it was my first time kind of diving into the FKT world, and that was pretty cool last year with all the races being shut down, and people finding challenges around where they live and their local trails, was how the FKT scene just blew up. And so the one I went for was the Colorado Trail, which is a beautiful single track that goes 500 miles, which
782 kilometers.
Thank you. And I had a whole team of friends along. So Maggie was there pacing and crewing for it, but we didn't quite make it all the way. So one day I hope to go back to it, and then maybe I'll get on the website.
Cool. Maybe try
Jeri-
something in between. Yeah.
Oh.
Jeri, you've run the first 4 miles of that thing when you were here visiting, that up to Goody's Rest, that viewpoint we ran up to.
Yeah.
That was that's the beginning or end, depending on which way you go, of the Colorado Trail.
Great. I had great company as well. I had Titus on running with me, right?
That's right. He
So
made it.
you, Laura, and what?
Probably Bronson.
Bronson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had great company.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a good
maybe
crowd
one
to
day.
run with. Oh,
That would be
I
awesome.
highly recommend. It was so beautiful out there. I hope to get my feet back on it soon.
Awesome. Definitely on the bucket list. But Courtney, you don't have an FKT at the moment, but you have a slew of firsts. We're in excellent company at the moment. Liz has got a stack of podiums behind her. So does Maggie. Your podiums, Courtney, though, are pretty big ones. I mean, pretty renowned around the world, not just within the US. So, I don't have enough fingers to do this.
She doesn't like this part, Jeri.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not gonna go into it. I can see you're squirming a little bit already.
Yeah, like, ugh.
And anyone who wants to know about Liz, Courtney, or Maggie, it's literally a Google search away, right? There's a ton of stuff on the three of you that's absolutely incredible. But what I really want to go into today is, of course, your adventures out there. And to start, I mean, on paper, let's talk about the Barkley Marathons. Okay, on paper, the Barkley Marathons is technically a 5-loop, 100-mile ultra marathon where you have 60 hours to finish. Now, if you looked at it that way, would you say, sure, piece of cake?
Yeah.
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 Knowing what you know now, what's the reaction if someone said, hey, let's do the Barkley Marathons?
I mean, I would say, knowing what I know now, not piece of cake, but possible for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And I think, do you all feel that way, Maggie and Liz, as well, that it's definitely possible for women, especially the three of you, to touch that yellow post 5 times, yellow gate?
I mean, I think any one of us could do it. I think there's other women out there who can do it. It just takes this like well-balanced skill set that you can't be lacking in any one of them. And for, I think, all three of us, it was navigation, because you can't rely on there to be just a clear year. You can go through 2 to 3 nights. I mean, you have 60 hours to finish. So the chances are you're going to have some crappy weather. The chances are it's going to be foggy. It's like always foggy up on the top, which means like we just have to be better at reading terrain. And I mean, even just following a bearing blindly in the fog is like not reliable, because it's super slow and like you can't just walk straight and like follow something. It's just too hard. We tried that. I tried that. I led us like a little bit too far one way, and like so yeah, just like navigation. I mean, I didn't grow up doing that. Like I know that Jamil has this, he's got this like really great way to like read terrain, and he's just this like comfortable doing it. But he grew up doing it in Boy Scouts and stuff. That's also like, I don't know. I took Girl Scouts when I was like a kid, and they don't really teach you anything valuable. So I hope it's different now. I feel like it's changed a little bit, but we made dolls and cookies, and that's not very useful at Barkley. So
You mean you didn't sew
No.
anything?
no, I did sew my
never
hat
came up.
before I got there. It had a hole in it, and it held up the whole time. So
Yay. Okay,
Mhm.
we'll go into that a little bit later about what skill sets are needed for the Barkley. But I wanted to give our listeners, our watchers, our audience a little bit more background about the Barkley Marathon. So first of all, I mean, it's obviously not just a 100-miler. It's a pretty nutso race. Would you guys agree?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't think it's 100 miles anymore,
It's
actually.
like 130, which
Yeah,
so
it's way closer to 125 or 130 almost.
Oh yeah,
with,
I reckon it's a little bit more than that. But what would I know? I haven't been there. So I want to ask first of all, there's no real entry fees. You know, Laz just asked for a token fee. Is that right?
it's $1.60 officially.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
Officially.
else did he ask for this year? Because I know he was asking me for shorts this year. He told me that shorts, he had issues with his old shorts. So what did he ask for this year?
Wait, are
Well,
you going to give him
so-
those tiny T8 shorts? with
No,
those split
no, I
shorts?
didn't.
So
was
I
just
think
checking.
new people always just bring a license plate from
Yeah.
where they're from. So that's what I had to bring this year. And then Liz and Maggie had a different entry item because were returning to the race.
Okay, so normally he's asked for what, a shirt before and a hat or something
Or
along those
soda.
Soda?
This year was soda. Yeah, it was a really gross,
Moxie.
very
So
specific type of soda called Moxie. Yeah, Moxie soda.
Is that alcoholic?
No, it's a very bitter root beer from New England, where I'm from. So I knew what he was talking about immediately, and it was actually in a shortage 2020 because the factories got bought out by another company. It's the whole thing. The whole thing in my part of the country. It's a big deal.
Okay, so he asked for Moxie soda. Great. And everyone had to bring that. Was there a problem getting this soda?
think so. I mean, Liz had a hard time. My buddy Greg went around to like 6 different Cracker Barrels because they sell like the individual bottles, and he collected 24 for a total of me and him to give to Laz. So
So
yeah,
was
I
it
don't
just
Yeah. So,
more than one bottle you had to get everybody had to do? 8?
you want a 12-pack?
12-pack, yeah.
Yeah, he wanted a 12-pack of it in Cracker Barrel, which is a restaurant. Have you been to a Cracker Barrel, Jeri?
No.
So it's a very horrible restaurant chain in Massachusetts, and they sell specialty
It has
sodas.
some
And
redeeming qualities.
Yeah,
Does
they
it?
got good pancakes.
I have one down the street that I've never been to,
They have great candy out in the little shop area.
and soda. And so everyone who needed Moxie went to Cracker Barrel, or you ordered it on Amazon for like $30 for a 12-pack. I hope I don't need to know the conversion to other currencies, because I don't know what $30 is in any other currency, but that was a lot of money for a 12-pack of soda because the company was in a shortage. It was pretty funny, actually.
Sounds like it should have alcohol in it for that money, for sure.
You can put alcohol in it. I've had that too. They
Oh.
make some cocktails with it.
Okay.
Oof.
So Laz was definitely stocking up, I reckon. That's what you'll be drinking at aid stations for the Barkley Fall Classic.
I don't think he's sharing that.
Okay. And so I understand that every year as well, there is a human sacrifice. It's meant to be a Barkley Virgin. And I'm guessing, Courtney, that you were not named the human sacrifice this year.
I wasn't, but I was definitely ready to receive bib number 1. I thought there was a high chance that I would be the sacrifice.
Who was the human sacrifice this year?
It was Karen McNeely. He's actually a really good runner. So I don't know. Sometimes he's not so good at picking the number one. But I also feel like it's sort of an honor. So like, it doesn't necessarily mean he thinks you can't do it. So who knows what he thinks? I don't know.
No one knows. I don't.
I think Karen also told the story that Laz told her he gave her number one because no BFC female winner has ever completed a loop, which wasn't true because I did it in 2018, and that's what she said to him. She was like, "Liz Canty did it a few years ago," and he said, "I don't know who that is." So I'm surprised. I assumed I would get it because he would forget that I'd been there before and just give me number one just for fun. So
wow. So good that none of you, Liz and Maggie, in your first years that you did Barkley, which was what, 2018, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
None of you got number one, right?
Nope.
No, it was actually another girl that was like super badass that I think she didn't put all her races on her Barkley essay resume, so he had no idea. So he's like, "Well, you'll be good number one." Her name's Kaz Williams, and she's done like a bunch of 200s. I feel like she's done Tour de Jean. Like, she's really good.
She was in Chamonix. Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah.
She's super strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know of her as well. And yeah, I mean, anyone I think who rocks up at the Barkley is either super strong, possibly super stupid. No offense to present company, of course, but or definitely a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, 2018 was a big year for Barkley because was that the first time that we had some women on the start line as well?
There's always women. I think he was calling it the year of the women because there were supposed to be a total of 8 women. But I mean, honestly, there would have been 8 women originally before everything's got shuffled around. So I mean, that's generally how many women he has. Sometimes it's just 5. It depends. So I don't know. He just makes up things that don't really make sense.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know because Barkley's so secretive, and I'm not going to ask either any of you how to get in because apparently that's a very not a well-kept secret anymore. But I won't put you in any awkward positions. But so it's it's hard to tell who's actually been on the start line in the last few years. So Barkley started in 1986. That was a long time ago. But this year, how about crew? What was the crew situation this year?
So crew, we were, with his very specific COVID protocols, which were really important, especially in Tennessee, that fully believes COVID doesn't exist and had no mask mandates or safety protocols at all. I live in Alabama, and even we were doing better. He asked that crew be vaccinated, that anyone who was going to be crew, you only got one, and that they be vaccinated, which is was not a short order in this part of the country where vaccines were hard to come by. So I know that Maggie and Courtney got some crew together, and my husband and I were very fortunate to be labeled essential workers for the work we do for the military. And so we got really lucky, and so he was able to come. We were starting to dredge the bottom of the barrel of friends for, I guess he wanted them to be vaccinated or to have already had COVID. That was the rule. Yes. So I was, I was looking for friends who had had COVID and had recovered, or anyone who'd been vaccinated. But yeah, it was stressful for some people to find crew.
Yeah, I can imagine. So Courtney, who is your crew?
So I came with no crew. And then I was just lucky enough to be sharing a campsite with Maggie and Greg, who had crew people. And so their crew was able to help me during it. So I had I got to share crew with some women from Colorado with Maggie, which was really cool.
Awesome. And so Maggie, who was your crew? Greg?
No, Greg is running. As my friend Gina, she's the same person who's crewed me at Biggs.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and originally her friend Jen was going to come and crew another person who had to drop out for injury, and Greg said he would take the help, so she came along anyway. The thing is, like, is you don't know if you'll even need crew because, like, unfortunately, Greg had a bunch of medical issues and wasn't in like 100%, so he didn't make the cutoff. So like, you never even used the crew. So Jen was like just there kind of helping, and she was able, I don't know how we were in and out so quick. It was nice. It was 6 minutes, they said, which is great. And that was all they had to do the whole time. So, I mean, they do a lot, like, but it's just weird because you can bring, I feel like you never know if you'll really need to utilize the crew or not, because Barkley's just so like fickle.
We almost used them the most of anyone in history because if we had come in just 1 minute sooner after our second lap, so 13 minutes faster, they would have had to turn and burn us in 60 seconds. And they were ready for it. So I think that would have been their time to shine.
Yeah, my husband had his bag.
Yeah, they
he
were
had a
all
whole bag
set
of
up.
stuff ready to go.
Yeah.
As the time was ticking down, they were waiting at the gate for us, because if we had made it in time, you have to get out in time as well. So we would have had to turn around really quickly and get out of there, which would have been really fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could have done what John Kelly did, grabbed all his stuff, started 100 yards down the road, and then just sat down and took a nap. He had a very quick turnaround one year, I think. So technically, as long as you touch that post, touch the gate and gone out and just grab your bunch of stuff and drop it off 100 yards down the road.
Yeah, we weren't even like sleepy yet. I feel like it was our second night, but I remember telling Courtney, like, I wasn't tired. I think we had a couple of yawns, but like, you're just so on all the time. Like, there's no monotonous like running that you just don't have time to get sleepy. I'm sure the third night would have been hard to figure out what we're doing, but.
So just as an aside, Jen and Gina are also the cheerleaders at Biggs, is that right?
Yeah.
So did they give you guys any pep talks, or did they entertain with any jeers, I mean?
I don't know I don't think they entertained camp. They thought about it, but we weren't there to see it, so I don't know.
Barkley has kind of a different vibe. It's a little bit it's a little bit more everybody in their tent, I think. I think Luke hung out with them. My husband, I think, hung out with them a little bit, though. He said they were fun.
He can help them.
And he hung out with them at Biggs.
Yeah, Kevin was helping this year's last year at Biggs.
So getting to the start line now, this year Barkley's was definitely very much under the radar. It's all like a little bit under wraps, I guess, because of the COVID situation as well. Was it invitations that Laz extended, or like Courtney, how did you find yourself on the start line for Barkley Marathons?
I applied for it. So I figured out how to apply and then jumped through all of the hoops that are involved with that.
Awesome. And so Liz and Maggie, you're Barkley veterans essentially. So you've done this before. Is this something that you've been applying for every year?
Yeah. I mean, I knew when I started this that it was probably not going to be a one and done situation. So I'll just keep applying. Hopefully it lets me come back.
I took the easy way out and decided I would just go try to win the Barkley Fall Classic, because trying to figure out folklore is too much work for me. And I knew that was a direct shot in. So that's what I did for these 2 years that I've made it in. I just go to the Barkley Fall Classic because otherwise I don't have nearly the resume as these girls or of any of the other men and women who apply. So I take the sneaky way. In the really, really in the really, really hard, scratchy way of the September Barkley Fall Classic.
Okay. Cool. So, and Courtney, do you think you'll be applying for the next few years?
I definitely would like to get back out there and try again.
Cool. We'd definitely love to see you out there. Right. So Frozen Head State Park is not the kind of park that we'd normally think about as going for a stroll with the family at a weekend, right? Am I right in saying that?
No, there's plenty of families there. Liz is there all the time.
I go there all the time. I walk my dogs out there. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. And we together as a group, we were able to donate enough money and vote it the second favorite Tennessee park in the state.
Most favorite without a golf course.
Yeah, we couldn't beat the golf course people with money, but we tried. No, it's beautiful. It's got campgrounds and fishing is a big thing there, and they do a lot of Boy Scout outings there. It's a big Boy Scout, Girl Scout, take kids into the woods and see what happens kind of space. I run into those camps all the time and like happen upon them in the woods.
Okay, wow, it sounds actually pretty inviting when you describe it like that.
Yeah.
I think everyone in Asia just has the idea that Frozen Head State Park is just this horrible place that ultra runners go to beat themselves up.
It hurts my heart. It's my favorite.
It is a weird, like, dichotomy of this like old prison nestled in these hills and like kind of more rural towns like right outside with the park. I mean, it didn't used to be this maintained, but it's really beautiful. It's kept up really well. The rangers care for it. The trails are really well maintained and pretty. They're difficult, like they warn you, to hike up to Chimney Top, average hiking is speeds like 1.5 miles an hour. And, I'm sure Liz has seen like many unprepared people go with no water. And I mean, the first 3.5 miles is like 2,500 feet of climbing. So it's not just like whatever. They have easier trails that you can walk around on and stuff, but there's a lot of different things you can do there. Pretty waterfalls that are easy to hike to. It's a cool park.
Great. Sounds like a good road trip. So, Courtney, was this your first time at Frozen Head?
It was, yeah. And it was beautiful. More beautiful than I imagined, I think.
Did the terrain that you did for Barkley, the Barkley actual route that you did, does that remind you of anywhere, or is this like nothing you've ever experienced?
I don't think it reminded me of anywhere, but you could find hills that steep in places for sure. It's just very steep hills in every direction. There's no flat spots ever.
Okay, that sounds challenging. You bear in mind that I'm from Singapore and it's flat. There's nothing, our highest peak is 162 meters above sea level. There's no zero missing. It's 162 meters above sea level. That's it. You get up.
What's that in feet? 531 feet. Oh, that's even shorter than Alabama.
Yeah.
Man, I was going to say, I thought I lived in probably one of the flatter places in the country, but yeah, that's impressive. That's like Florida flat.
Yeah,
we've got a few people who have tried Everesting here, and we've had to use some very creative techniques.
Yeah, that's a cool challenge, though.
Yeah. By the way, all three of you are welcome to Singapore anytime. We have a big backyard event here, and nothing like Barkley, but we can definitely find something just as torturous.
Thank you.
Yeah, something really flat, it sounds like.
Yeah, run on the flat. 24-hour track race, maybe, in the heat.
Perfect.
Yeah, bear in mind it's about 90% humidity most of the time.
I'm already trained.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go.
Nice. Right, so 20.
But it is here right now.
Really?
Yeah, It's
Wow.
70 and 85% humidity right now.
Ooh, that's not fun.
Nope.
Okay. Right. So ladies, take me through starting Barkley. Okay, what happened? I mean, you're all there, you're getting your kit prepared, then what happens?
Maybe
Take
Courtney
it
See where
away,
the
goes.
conch
Maggie.
goes off. Yeah.
No, Courtney goes
Come on.
first. I want to hear her take because she's never done it.
There you go.
No, I mean, so we get to camp and then you have to do this whole like map copying thing. And that was the part that was giving me the most anxiety, is what that process actually looks like and how I copy my map and like what's all the information I need to try and absorb in those hours before the race maybe starts. Because he doesn't announce when the race start is, he just blows his shell and then you run an hour later. So
That's the best description. He blows his shell.
He had so much trouble with that thing. I don't know if it was the year
Yeah.
off. He was practicing. He said he was practicing the week before, but like 25% of the blows actually made sounds. The rest is like no one heard that. Apparently, like I didn't hear it. I woke up. I think I woke up Court. I don't know if she heard it, but I was like, Court, like I thought I was saying it louder because we were in the next tent over. But apparently he had already been blowing that conch for about a minute, and then some people didn't hear it for like 40 minutes or so, and like yeah, he's not good at that anymore.
and it was just pouring rain, so it was really hard to hear anything anyways that whole night. And so I don't know, like maybe the veterans are better at it after some experience, but laying there not knowing when the shell was going to blow and not knowing when we were going to have to get up and go, I didn't sleep at all that night. In addition to then it just being really windy and rainy the whole time. So I was happy when he blew it because I was like, I'm not sleeping anyways. We might as well start running instead of wait until morning. But yeah, then it's kind of like this scramble. It felt more scrambly because it was dark out, of everyone just getting their stuff together. And thankfully, a lot of the campers and their crew were waking other crews up. So it feels like maybe there's that security in future years. But yeah, then it goes and then it's just simple. It's just running then. So that made it feel like the anxiety could go away a little bit about the process of getting ready for it. And now we could just run and do our best to find books.
And so how many books did you have to find?
It's 13 this year.
13 every loop?
Yeah.
And so with every loop, is it the same book that you find just from a different direction?
Yeah, well, typically we go, so he switched it up again, and he hasn't done this too often, but Liz and I's first year, he had us go washing machine style. So this year he decided we're going to go, he's always done the same direction where you go up the gate towards the Bird Mountain Trail. But this year, that first loop was clockwise, and then we had 2 counterclockwise, and then we would have gone clockwise again. And then it's like, whatever way you're assigned on the last one. But yeah, so it's kind of good because Courtney also got to experience the reverse loop, which Liz and I got to do. Well, I got to do it. Liz brought rain.
I hadn't done it before. I quit the first time, but I got to see it this year. Thank goodness.
But I'd like, so Liz, it was torrential downpour, and Liz and I finished our first lap in 2018 with Ian Keith. You guys probably know him, and he's awesome navigator. And Liz didn't have rain gear, so she didn't come back out with us. But I would like to give her this redemption because Jamil and Courtney and I were all near hypothermic. We didn't bring enough layers. I think Liz was the smartest one and wore a merino wool shirt. So I don't know if you were as cold as us. So you're probably better prepared than all of us for that.
Well, it's a humid cold. I don't know if it gets cold in Singapore. I don't know the weather there, but the humid cold will absolutely eat at your bones. And the only thing I've ever found that works is a single merino wool layer And then I just put a Gore-Tex layer over that. And that's the only thing that works. But there was everyone from Idaho and Utah and Colorado was standing around camp the first day. And it was Luke Nelson's wife who was standing there in a North Face puff jacket. And it was 55 degrees. And she said, "Why is it so cold here?" And I said, and I was wearing a tank top. And I said, "No, it's humid. It's not cold. It's humid. And it will just hurt for a long time until you get used to it." So anyway, yeah, I was better prepared this year. And I've spent hundreds of dollars on rain gear since 2018 because I've never been made fun of by so many podcasts in my life. But yeah, I didn't know rain gear was a thing. I'd been running for 2 years at that point.
Okay, so what time did the race actually start for in your time?
3:05 a.m.
Sorry, what time of day was it?
3:04 a.m.
3 to 4 a.m. So it's dark, it's raining, it's not warm, and you guys set off. Everybody goes in the same direction to start. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're doing a loop. Was there a strategy at the start where you know, anyone said, right, we're going to stick together for the first loop or so?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to just agree to that, but like, you know, I was hoping that unless Courtney could cling on to someone faster, that we would stay together. But and that worked out. But I don't know if it worked out. You didn't get very far, but we tried. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard because it's chaotic and you don't even know who you're near. So after like a couple books, I feel like you just kind of fall into these groups, and that's what happened with us.
Yeah, by
Definitely.
the second book, I think all three of us were together with, I think, 3 or 4 other guys. And that group of 6 or 7 was together for the whole first loop. And then when we turned to go counterclockwise, it ended up being the 3 of us and Jamil. So there was a group of 4 then.
Okay. And how did that first loop go?
I think it went really well. I thought we were moving really fast. I mean, you know, and then we realized there's a couple little out and back sections where you could see people, and Jared and Luke were ahead. And then also Chris Hanlon, he was kind of on his own, but Jared and Luke were leading, and we were only like 10 minutes behind them at the one spot. And
we didn't lose a lot of time looking for books or anything. Yeah, we were pretty much streamlining it right to a book and pages, refuel, go about our way. It wasn't until it got dark out into the second loop that things get a little bit ugly. But yeah, no, I thought that first loop was really awesome. And muddy as all get out, but a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's
it was
still
super
slow though.
muddy already.
Yeah.
Like we were like sliding down hills and going up the steep hills that were muddy. It was like just clawing at the ground, basically trying to get up them. So it was already really muddy, and it was pretty foggy. So we started so early in the morning that it was dark for, I mean, we probably had 4 or 5 hours of darkness still when we began. And that was also foggy. So everyone had been telling me, like, you're new, you need to, you know, like pay attention on the loops and look at all the landmarks so that you recognize everything when you come back through it again. And I'm like, I couldn't see like 10 feet in front of me. So I'm like, Maggie, I'm trying to notice things, but I can't, like, I don't see anything.
Well, and then you're in the dark on the reverse in the same exact spots, which is what happened to me in 2018. So like the end of the course that we did this year, like the chimney top area and all that, that was the first time I'd ever seen it in the light, was this year. So Courtney, one day you'll see the northeast corner of the park in the light.
The entire north section.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah, all of it, the whole north part.
Was the weather a little milder on that first loop? How long did you guys take for the first loop?
10 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay. And you have what, 12 hours to finish the first loop, is that right?
13:20 technically, because you have 40 hours for a fun run of 3 loops, but you need to be done and back out there on the fourth loop before 36 hours if you want to continue. So, I mean, everyone has these formulas of the lap times you need to have, but like, I mean, that's slow to be able to continue. I mean, to just put it all together. So, like Keith Dunn, he tweets. He came over while we were doing our transition. He said, I have a message from John Kelly. He said, there are going to be no finishers. He's like, a lap time of Jared and Luke at the tower at 7 hours is too slow. He already said there'll be no finishers. He's like, concentrate on a 12-hour lap, get in, do a fun run. And, I still kind of wanted to think in my head, like we could get onto a fourth lap. But anyway, like that's kind of discouraging when you felt like you were moving really fast, like pretty good, not making mistakes. So, but 10:40 and we were back out, a little bit behind Jared and Luke again. And I think we were only like a handful of people behind us that actually went back out too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think 16.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say, I think only 16 or 17 people went back out on loop 2 after loop 1. A lot of people were just done. Or, I mean, we passed a lot of people as we started our loop 2 who were either barely going to make it back in time for a 13:20 finish, or the group of virgins we ran into near the prison who were definitely not going to make it back in time, but they wanted to collect all their pages.
Hiram's harem, they were calling him.
Hiram's harem.
And you were Jamil's angels, right? On the second
no, they didn't want to do that. We were the Barkley ladies, and Jamil was part of the Barkley ladies.
Yes.
The women's team. That's what Luke was calling it. He said they kept calling it in camp the women's team and the men's team. And I was like, the women's team and Jamil? He's like, yeah, but they just quit even doing that. They just called it the women's team. And I was like,
he won best hair.
Oh yeah, I totally give him that. Absolutely. So first loop went pretty well. Second loop, I mean, how quick was the transition coming in and going out again?
Like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Courtney, what did you do in transition?
What did I do? I ate
some mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I shoveled a lot of food and I drank a bottle of Tailwind Rebuild vanilla, and then I just restocked my pack. So got rid of the trash and got new bottles of Tailwind and new stashes of food for the loop. And I think I did try and was thinking of layers, but I didn't think hard enough about it because we ended up being pretty cold on loop 2. So I'd have to do that better next time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all kind of a frenzy of just like get rid of things and then grab things and make sure you didn't get rid of something that you needed.
So, Liz, what did you do in transition? I assume the three of you were kind of in separate places when you come in for transition. Is that right?
Well, Maggie and Courtney had camped together, and they were actually just the site behind me, which was really helpful. So I went into my tent, and my husband had all the sides of the tent up for the rain. So I had him, and actually we had a camera crew following us for separate reasons, but I had one of the cameramen watch Maggie and Courtney. So I didn't want them to leave without me. I was very concerned. And so
what a creep.
I tasked an HBO cameraman with watching them. And I said, tell me what they're doing. And because I didn't want to be slow. And because I knew they wanted to go quick. And so I had my husband wipe my feet down. I put on dry socks and packed my good rain gear. And same thing as Courtney, trash and food and back out again. It was a blur.
Okay. Maggie, what about you? What happened in transition?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I actually just wanted to change my shoes because I started in really old shoes. Otherwise, my feet were fine. I would have left them. I think we were away. It actually felt pretty warm and really humid. But I think we decided to keep our bottom layer on, which I had these Gore-Tex pants that felt like a trash bag, but they were like a lifesaver. They're just great pants. And I actually tried to repair all the holes with ripstop. My friend works for Mountain Hardware. She's like, they'll repair it. And I was like, no, there's too many holes. And I'm using this ripstop material on it. And they look ridiculous now because I have like literally 30 little patches from all what they call rat bites. But
They're your
anyway,
adventure pants.
yeah, now they're we saw our friend Greg on the way out. He was heading in and we looked at his pants and Courtney's like, Greg, were your pants that ripped before? And he's like, oh, they're my adventure pants.
They were just shredded, like
They were like
pieces of pant dangling everywhere.
Yeah, and like kind of right in the inner thigh area too, like a really sensitive spot to have a big rip. I was kind of concerned.
Greg's like a interesting dude. He's like a minimalist. Like he just tries to repurpose everything that he ever used. Like he has the same thing. Like when he got a teaching job, his wife was really excited because he could no longer wear his homemade deerskin outfit that he had made. Like he'll find roadkill and just use every bit of the hide. And like he made his own pack in 2018 out of like leather. And he happens to be a vegetarian, but like, he'll repair those pants and wear them until like, he's like 99 years old. So yeah.
If you've never heard of him, people should look up Greg Armstrong. He's one of the most interesting humans and toughest people that I've ever met. So check him out if you have some time.
Yeah, awesome.
He made his own trekking poles out of bamboo. He had his own like poles with little leather straps, and bamboo's really strong. And and like one year he showed up with a flask full of, because I had these like, in addition to Tailwind, these little endurance tap maple syrup gel things that are from Canada. Well, Greg made his own out of maple syrup that he got from his own trees and came up with these little flasks. And like, he just can make anything. Like, I don't know. He's like this super interesting guy.
Tennessee mountain man.
That's right.
So if you get lost in the mountain, you definitely want him on your team.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, the first time we got a little turned around and he's like, no, guys, it's definitely this way. Like he came up on us. Normally he would have been like running right with us, but he was just like not 100%. So I think he needs to come back and just be 100% with like no weird illnesses. And I mean, he's the kind of guy that will finish. He was saying, well, like if Laz makes the like sudden rule change that you can't have anything out there, like Greg would do really well because he would just survive on whatever he found.
Start stabbing squirrels. He'd be good. So he's vegetarian. He wouldn't be stabbing squirrels. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, like he doesn't need a lot of like, I don't even think he planned to change the whole time. And like, he's just low key.
He'd have squirrel earmuffs.
Probably.
Oh yeah, probably.
Coonskin cap that he just found this.
He built his house too. Yeah, he built his own house. It's incredible. Sure. Yeah, everything about him.
He built his own bumper. I mean, he didn't build the car, but he got it in an auction. But it has a wooden bumper.
Nice. So was this Greg's first time doing Barkley?
No, he did it in 2018 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will definitely find out a little bit more about Greg Armstrong. He
has a record for Vol State, so he's one of the. I think him and Johan Steen were kind of flip-flopping on the record, though. So
cool.
Yeah, and he's been on the 24-hour team with me and with Courtney, and yeah, he's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, definitely someone on the radar to check out. Right. So second loop. I assume that it wasn't raining on the second loop when you started. Is that right?
It was sunny. It was sunny and hot. Yeah.
But it was already raining by the top of that first climb. Remember we all put on our jackets?
Oh, it was like hailing.
Yeah,
just for a hot second. Yeah.
So when everyone left and it was kind of sunshiny and were you feeling good? Did you decide, right, maybe we don't need so much gear, or did you just bring all the gear just in case?
Oh, bring it. Well, I did. I knew that I know those mountains, it was going to get ugly. I was very upset that I had at some point lost a waterproof glove that I'd had with me since 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was very upset that I'd even lost just one piece of gear. Probably 2 rat jaw on a briar somewhere, but yeah, I don't know if you guys regretted any of the gear you guys carried, and you guys had much more than me. You were much more well prepared than I was. But I go not as minimalist as Greg, but I was pretty happy with my 4-pound pack or whatever my pack ended up weighing.
So, Courtney,
Yeah,
what do
I
you
don't
have
think-
with you?
I don't think we consciously decided to not take more gear, but it just wasn't as like in your face how cold it was going to get when you were standing in the camp, and it was like the sun was peeking out and it was really humid, and yeah, we were headed back out and got to do a climb right away, so it was feeling pretty warm right away, but it quickly changed back where I was happy having the layers I did. I just was using the same pair of gloves the whole time, and I think I should have traded for some dry ones, at least to start lap 2, because mine were soaking wet, and so my hands then just got freezing by the time we hit the night section again, just being drenched and cold all of the time. But otherwise, I think I had pretty good gear for it. I was happy with most of it.
And Maggie, you had your pants.
Yeah, their waterproof pants worked. I mean, I got fresh gloves and they were already still soaked by like a certain point, so I don't know. But I debated this one, you know, like those little windbreakers fold up into like a little Cliff Bar size thing, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna take this. And I was like, I'll be back by 2 a.m. It won't be that cold yet, you know, like, so that was a mistake. But you know, we did have our heat blankets with us. So the worst case scenario is you wrap that around you and throw your rain jacket back on. So we would have been okay. But I think the cold affects your decision making and stuff. And you also need to keep your energy up by eating more. So not good to get cold.
Yeah, so this second loop then, it definitely got cold, even though it was daytime, right?
Yeah,
It wasn't. I don't think. Yeah.
Rat Jaw got cold. It was still daylight. I think
Yeah.
that's where I noticed start to get cold at the top of Rat Jaw, and then it never warmed up back up. And I don't think we saw the sun again, really.
Okay, and the weather started
Yeah.
getting worse.
Yeah, the way Frozen Head works is it's in its own peak. This is me because I live here. It's its own peak between the Tennessee River Valley and the Smokies. And so what it does is the country funnels all of its horrible weather from my home in the Tennessee Valley, gets blocked by the Smokies, and go right through Frozen Head. So what was a tornado cold front coming through my town turned into like 20-mile-an-hour winds, hail, and rain in Frozen Head. So I already knew it was coming because I'd been getting a text from my neighbors that the houses were blowing away. So I knew this was coming. And then Stallion Mountain, one of the peaks of Frozen Head Park, is known for being just a funnel of that really cold wind. So I don't know that made me any warmer than it would have, but the knowledge of it coming was enough for me. But yeah, Frozen Head's notorious for catching those sort of weather patterns.
Okay, so Liz, you had a good idea of what you were letting yourself in for that weekend. What about Courtney and Maggie? Did you have any idea that the weather was going to be like that?
I mean, from the forecast, yeah, you could see that it was a bunch of crummy days coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually wouldn't have wanted it any other way, because I feel like a true Barkley has all of that weather. And so if we had like perfect, you know, temperatures and blue skies the whole time, it would have been like, that wasn't a real Barkley. But but we got the whole gamut of awful weather. So I think that was a good first experience for me.
So what happened on that second loop? What can you?
That made it so bad? Is that like the bad thing that happened on it?
I don't know if it was bad or good, but you know, I know you guys didn't quite make it back in time to do a fun run, which is 3 loops, and that was I think really disappointing for all of us watching, because we were like, come on, what else are we gonna do this weekend? This is awesome. But what happened on the second loop? After a great first loop, what happened?
Well, I can say that I mean, Jamil, we left before Jamil and he caught up with us, which we were grateful for. This is a good team. And we had Frank with us for a little bit and we lost Frank. Frank is cool. Every time you'd say like a phrase, they would make him think of a song. So I instantly loved him when he said, I'm like, oh, we go straight up. And he referenced the Paula Abdul song that straight up. And he's just this big, tough, stocky guy referencing Paula Abdul. And I was like, he's pretty awesome.
I still don't know who that is or like what that song is. Does that age me terribly? Like, I don't know.
Okay, I will send it to you later. Oh my God.
I didn't get the joke at all. It was so bad. Anyway, Frank was great.
Yeah. For you, Paula Abdul would be someone who was on American Idol as a judge once.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, Jamil obviously has like the most laps under his belt. But he's like really did kind of let us just kind of lead. So, I did a lot of trying to remember and lead, and even Courtney, like her being her first time out there, like found like a bunch of books just using the bearings and remembering like where we were, mostly in the daylight and stuff like that. So, it was a good team. And like we made a couple mistakes, but we were able to correct them and nothing major. I mean, we got to kind of pretty where we wanted in the daylight. And then we were like, okay, we're in a good spot. And I really thought like, this part will be fine. And then literally all we had to do was navigate this one ridge back to what Laz calls Candy Ass Trail. One more big climb and then just don't get lost finding that trail back up. And we got like really turned around on this ridge and made some bad decisions, which I've thought about over and over again. Like, why didn't we do this? Like, this is such an obvious decision to make. Why didn't we head north? Because you would have eventually hit what we wanted to hit. Like, it was very simple to like sit in my home with the map dry, warm, and having slept and make that decision. But it was not an obvious decision when we were out there. So these are things that like I was not prepared for. And like that would taught me a lot. So, I mean, it's just going to be another little thing I take for my Barkley tool belt or whatever. But it just sucks. It cost us that 12 minutes. I mean, it cost us more than that. We would have got in with, we wouldn't have had a stressful turnaround. It would have been tight, but we would have been able to like do things we need to do and get back out there. And we lost, I feel like 90 minutes at least on that.
Oh yeah, if not 2 hours or more. Yeah, absolutely. We were. I had the pocket watch. I had the clock on me.
Yeah.
It had gotten super crazy out there too. Like, I mean, just all the rain for that long. So everything that was muddy before was now basically like guaranteed you're gonna slide 10 feet if you go on this spot. And yeah, there were some crazy hills that we were on and like little cliff ledges that we had to navigate up and then navigate down on parts. And when those are covered in mud and your dexterity is a little bit lower because it's so cold out, it was crazy. Like Liz was coming up a cliff and just slid right off of it, which ended up being like a 7-foot fall to the ground, which it was the
I was really hoping we would just forget that, like me falling off. But first it was 2018, no rain gear. 2021, Liz falls off a cliff. The bruise has finally faded. It's finally faded.
Because it sounded so bad. I was like afraid to turn around.
No, it was scary.
Yeah. And like I look around because I was the first one up, and you have to like pull yourself up on this tree and then like spin yourself around. And I look on the ground and Liz is just like landed sitting and she puts her arms up. She's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, oh my God. It's this like young 29-year-old bones that were okay. Yeah. And the ground was nice and wet. It's like,
but that's like
the last ball I get to take.
Yeah, where everything was just crazy. Like Maggie at one point was straddling a tree upside down, like head into
like
a river.
This way and my head's going down here. I didn't know how to get up. It was like
there were so many moments where I just wish I had a camera because it was like so funny how we were falling everywhere and the positions we were ending up in was, I mean, it was like a comedy out there in the craziest conditions.
Well, and Courtney, you were probably the last voice of logic, because when we got later into that last descent and we were all kind of like, no, we can totally go down that like rock wall slot right there. I bet we could do it. I bet we could do it. We'll throw a log down there. We'll throw a log down the slot. We'll make it.
Log down there. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but you're like gonna shimmy down it.
I mean, we had come up to this cliff. It was probably like a 12-foot tall cliff, right? 12-ish.
If not, no, if not more than that, it was bad. And we were like, no, we can do it.
Yeah, we're like, this is the spot we have to go down. But no joke, we would have needed like climbing moves. Like we would have been like free solo style, having to navigate down this cliff wall in the rain, in the fog. Everyone is tired and like no one's arms are very strong. So I'm like, we can't go off this cliff wall.
I'm glad we had we had a mom with us, and you're not a mom, but at least someone with us for a moment who was like, no, we're not doing that. Like, find another way, ladies and Jamil. We're not doing that. And we did. We found the actual correct way down the rock wall instead of leaping to our probable deaths, which I was just willing to do at that point because I was just cold and wanted to find our way down the mountain.
Yeah, I think we spent 20 minutes debating on if we should go down that, and then realized Courtney found it and was like, what about this? And Jamil's like, oh, that's the way down. We should go down that way. It still wasn't great, but like it wasn't death. Like, so we did that. But 20 minutes wasted debating on this death cliff.
Good decision making. Next time, just toss an M&M or something. See which color comes up. Yeah.
Toss an egg, see what happens to the egg.
So, you know, when you're on a loop, is it just constant movement? Do you just have to keep pushing forward all the time? Do you get a chance to just stop and catch your breath or anything like that?
At the books, you know, you can get food if you need to get something that requires more than just. See, that's why I thought Tailwind was like a really good fuel for that, especially when it got colder, because you could just sip your calories and like, I couldn't use my hands at a point. I was trying to open the like honey stinger chew things, and it was just so hard to grip anything. Plus my hands were really sore and like tired from the poles and just pulling yourself up. So that's your only time to really like, because you can't even look away or you're just falling all over the place. So it's hard to like open any wrappers or eat anything.
Yeah, it's a pretty good unspoken agreement, even from like my first year. Like, you get to a book, that's your 30 seconds. Like, because everybody's gonna take a minute to find their page and fold it up and put it wherever you want to put it. You know, that's your, you know, find your burrito or find your Snickers bar or make your Tailwind, whatever you have a minute to do.
You see, Jamil actually brought a camp meal with a little fork.
Yeah.
And when he unrolled it, you know, he had it folded up and he was just eating like a camp meal from a bag.
Mark. So he had that. It's like, do you mean like one of those rehydrated meals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess he made it at camp and threw it in his bag because, you know, there's no time to wait the 15 minutes and contemplate the universe type of instructions that they have.
Yeah.
He's brought it with him.
On the go.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay, since you've already mentioned it, Tailwind, we're not going to, you know, do any hard sell here, don't worry. But what are the favorite flavors here? So Liz, what's your favorite Tailwind flavor?
Caffeinated raspberry buzz. That's my go-to. I'm still young enough that I can drink caffeinated all day long, no matter what. So I've got coffee over here too with my wine.
Those days are numbered, Liz.
I know. I turned 30 in 2.5 months. So, but yeah, no, caffeinated raspberry.
Okay, in 2 months, it's all downhill from there, Liz. You know that.
Apparently, they tell me, but they're still doing Barkley and crazy
your
stuff.
Best years are you got your best decade coming up.
That's right.
Right, Courtney, favorite flavor of Tailwind?
Lemon and naked.
Together or separately?
Separately. Those are just my two that they always are delicious tasting, no matter how far in the pain cave I am.
Cool. Maggie?
Yeah, mine's lemon. Or if I'm doing caffeine is tropical, I like.
Yeah, I like tropical. I can't do caffeine at all. I'm bouncing off the walls if I just have a little sip of Coke. So once I just had this little tub of tropical and I was just literally licking it just to get a buzz.
Don't ever try Moxie soda. Don't ever have Moxie soda. Your brain will explode.
Is that caffeinated? Is that why Lad
Yeah.
likes it? Like Mountain Dew?
Yeah, it has caffeine in it. It's like Dr. Pepper. It's like Dr. Pepper on crack.
Okay, so I don't think we have Dr. Pepper here either. We have Mountain Dew.
Oh, I'll send you some. We can send you some. You can get on Amazon. We can distribute it at the running store. Try it out.
Okay, I'll come for a visit and we'll have a Moxie drink together. Maybe. Let's hope.
I was gonna say shipping that to Singapore is probably like $100. So we'll have to find a better way.
Probably illegal as well.
Oh yeah, who knows? Jeri, you're going to be very disappointed. I hope you like cough medicine.
Yeah, well, okay. So top pit. What would, if you could bring one piece of equipment or one item with you on a Barkley loop, what was the most essential, would you say?
A compass.
Oh, can we bring Gaia maps with us next time?
Yeah.
You mean legal piece of gear?
Legal pieces of gear, yes.
Man, I think my poles, I had these like Lecky, Liz had the Lecky poles too, but I opted for the ones without the trigger shark thing.
Yeah.
And I think that made my hands hurt more, but it gave me the freedom to put different gloves on. So, but the poles are like key. I don't know how people did Barkley without poles back in the day.
Bamboos, that they cut bamboos too.
Yeah.
For me, I think a critical piece of gear is like not necessarily an item, but that you have figured out how you want to store stuff. And that not necessarily that you have a pack, but that you have a system for getting to your compass, getting to your pages, getting to everything. Because I did a combo. I did a pack and a waist belt because I don't like things in my back. It hurts. So I wear like a light pack and then I jam food and everything else in our pocket watch into extra waist belts and pockets. So I think that's like super critical. People don't realize what's going to drive you insane is something chafing you, or the fact that you get like a 10-pound baby on your back because you're carrying so much gear and food that you need.
So it's you were like a dodgem.
It's a super good point, because I also found if it was in the back, there's no time to like I didn't want to lose the group in the fog, so there's no time to stop and grab something if you need it right then necessarily. So there were times where I just was skipping eating because it was too much work to get the food and keep up with the group. So I think rethinking, like Liz was saying, the organization is super important. And now knowing all the things that I want access to, maybe I would change some of the places I have stuff. Also, Liz's pack was like non-existent. Maggie and I had just babies on our back, and I was behind Liz on the first loop, and I was like, where's all of your stuff?
Yeah.
Well, she had the waist pack, which is a great idea, but it doesn't work if you have hips. Like waist packs always end up somewhere. I hate them. So, but like they're practical, they make sense. Like, but I just can't do it. So everything's going on.
I think I had a burrito and like probably 1,500 calories and other fuel in there, along with my pocket watch and my pages. I spent nearly 2 years since getting in 2019 figuring out what I wanted to do, because I don't think there's anything I hate more than a heavy pack. I think UTMB or CCC was the only time I wore so much stuff on my back, and I was just absolutely miserable.
So this is the bumper car approach, right? Just have it all around you. If you bump into,
Distributed.
Yeah, distribute the weight. We have hips for a reason. These are load-bearing structures on our body. So
I don't know.
fell on my
I've got
back
big
a lot. So I think having less stuff on your back maybe would make sense. my ribs and my back were so bruised from just like like literally like a cartoon where your feet fly up underneath you and you land on different things and it hurts.
So coming in,
Yeah, so the waist belt is a bumper. Like I landed on my burrito, but it
Until
landed
you
on my
land
lower
on the
back.
stopwatch.
Oh my God, yeah.
You're just turning your burrito into a panini every time you fall.
It was, you know what? To pull out a warm burrito at whatever 3 o'clock in the morning when we were wandering around, and I had a warm burrito because it was warm from my lower back. There was nothing better than that.
I smelled it. It smelled amazing.
It's a warm burrito at 2 a.m. Body heat.
so it's like you need a burrito vest. You know, like the guys, the people who are like they open their trench coat and like want to buy a watch.
Yeah, no, that's what it is. Every 100-miler, every Barkley loop I've done, I've had someone go, "What are you eating?" And I'm like, "It's a warm bean burrito." I'm like,
absolutely, warm
you're
burrito.
jealous, I know.
Right here.
Bring more.
I reckon there could be a line of Liz Canty warm burritos coming out too.
Tailwind shoot off company, like just burritos. Refried beans, that's all that's in them. It's not even good. It's just refried beans wrapped in a burrito.
The purpose of Tailwind. It's like refried.
Refried beans, that's it. You can mix Tailwind into it. I don't know.
All right, so Jenny and Jeff, your next Tailwind flavors, refried beans.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. A rebuild, probably. I think it could only be a rebuild. It would have to be.
Yeah, something with substance.
Maybe,
yeah.
You know, so one of the techniques that a lot of the ultra athletes use for fueling is to have a concentrate, right? Whether it's gels or Tailwind. And like one of our guys, I know he can put 18 scoops of Tailwind into a 600 ml flask, like I don't know how many ounces that is, 18 ounces maybe. So he's got an 18-ounce soft flask and he puts 18 scoops of Tailwind in there, just as much water as he can. Yeah. But that's, you know, they were running a 200K around the island, and that was the most efficient way of carrying all that fuel. You know, it's like if you don't have water to refill anywhere, so he's just carrying water separately to Tailwind. Is that something that you guys have done to carry a concentrate at all?
I have not. I mean, we tell people how to do that if that's an option for them at events and stuff like that. But I'm not a fan of the concentrate personally, just because like I don't even drink water until I feel like I want water. So I'll just drink Tailwind. But the concentrate just seems like, to me, it like burns my throat because it's so salty.
Yeah.
And then I just want to like no brainer, the Tailwind sugar salt to water ratio. I just want it not to think about it. So I don't do the concentrate. I had 2 flasks that were empty with the powder already in it. So like when you get to a spot where you can just kind of put your bag on the table at the tower and pour water in, it was ready to go. But like, it's a good option if you like that, but I just not a fan of it.
Okay. Courtney, do you use a concentrate, or Liz?
No. I like the simplicity of just my bottles of Tailwind so that I'm thirsty and drinking and then getting the calories in.
The only time we do that is if 100-milers we'll pre-mix concentrated Tailwind to have like gallons of that, of like a super concentrated gallons worth of Tailwind, so that we're not trying to, in the dark, like my husband at an aid station, you know, messily trying to use the scooper, and then get water, you know, get half a pack of water from the aid station and then pour the concentrate in. That's the only time we do it, but I've never run with it. And I think if I accidentally ran with it, I'm with Maggie, it would probably make me sicker than help. Well, not make me sick, but definitely I would taste that caffeinated raspberry straight to the throat.
Yeah, concentrated caffeinated raspberry buzz, I think.
It would be.
Really. Yeah, we have found that you have to be pretty careful with making sure that you get enough water if you're using a concentrate, but good to know. Okay, so that last loop, when you were coming in, finishing, sounds like you had some great adventures on both loops, but finishing that last loop, did you already know that you were slightly behind cutoff coming in?
We had an
I think
hour
so.
and 45 minutes at the bottom of the last climb, which is, I don't know splits on that course as well. So I felt like we could do it. And in reality, we could, but that would have been really difficult.
Yeah, like daylight and dry. We might have done it. Daylight and dry, no headlamps. We might have pulled it off. Yeah, that requires like you hit the book right on. You don't slip at all. You don't stop for a gel or anything. And so yeah, it was. But we worked as hard as we could. I mean, no one hit no one hit the corner and said like, let's just meander up the climb. We worked our butts off that last bit.
I mean, even when we got to the trail, we just couldn't run as fast as we wanted to. Well, Liz, again, was prepared. We had a little headlamp snafu and a little switching around of headlamps and stuff like that. So we had one good working headlamp between us. And so we couldn't run super fast because it was hard to see. I don't think it doesn't matter because that last trail section down is like 2 miles. We weren't going to run 6 minutes per mile faster than we did. So it wouldn't have mattered. We had lost it on the climb somewhere, but yeah.
It definitely wasn't going to be
I could tell by everyone's reaction that we didn't get it because there was no excitement. But then I got in, I said, how much time were we over? And Laz said 12 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay.
And I wasn't going to be the girl who left Courtney Dauwalter and Maggie Guterl in the dark on Bird Mountain, who like ran in to beat 4 minutes overtime because I figured that would still be the ugliest story. No, I wanted us all, and then I wanted us all to get down. And it was still so miserable and rainy and foggy. I don't think the fog broke until the last switchback, probably the last 2 or 3 switchbacks. Finally, the fog broke. Ugh.
So 3 or 4, including Jamil, experienced ultra runners and 1 headlamp.
Let's be clear.
No.
So I had batteries. My headlamp was just dying. We all had batteries. Like we were set, but then we were also trying to get back in time. So it was like, instead of taking the time to switch batteries right now, let's just run behind Liz. And Maggie and I had headlamps that were just fading. So we had like a little bit of light, but we weren't as inexperienced as that maybe sounds. But
yeah, that's
no, they had headlamps. No, I didn't want it to sound that way either. Everybody had a headlamp. I'm one of those runners who runs with my headlamp barely on. So I barely turned my headlamp on for the whole second loop and then went until it's runnable. And so then I had all this extra battery life saved for
because she has
the
young
Canty
eyes.
Yeah, there it is.
Eyes. Well, so I had this nice, really bright waist lamp that was still working, a little clip-on light. And I was using it, but I was afraid that Jamil was going to be left in the dark. He didn't really have the legs to run. He said, you guys go. He probably knew we were running for no reason. But I left my light for him on the corner facing up on the switchbacks. And I was like, he'll pick it up. That way he won't be stuck with like really dim light. Well, he ran past it and I was like, did you grab my light? And he's like, well, I thought it was like a mile marker. I was like, what? It's that. So what's a mile marker? It's like the funniest thing. And then the next day, Courtney and I went up to hike and look for it, and we didn't find it. But
you didn't find it. No.
Yeah, so
I'll find it out there in a year.
Maggie left her good light. Liz was leading with her good light, and mine was just the caboose that was just like dimming slowly. So it was like the party light in the back.
Flashing, starting to flash because it's low battery. So disco party of 3 is on.
Well, Luke said it was hard to see. Usually what you can see is runners ping-ponging down Bird Mountain because their headlights are so bright. And he said that they could not see us coming.
Oh.
He was like, I mean, the fog was pretty bad. He's like, but we didn't see y'all till you made the turn onto like the last fire road. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really surprised by that, but we made it.
Good job. So lots of stories to tell, lots of lessons learned, maybe.
Oh yeah,
always.
Always. So what's the strategy for next time? Because as far as I understand, there's totally going to be a next time, right?
If he lets us.
So
Yeah.
Courtney, as the inaugural Barkley Virgin, what would you do different next time?
I think just like for me, it helps a lot when I can picture what I'm going into. So I think just experiencing it one year and being able to now picture what it means to copy a map or what it means to find a book under a rock in the middle of the woods somewhere, like all of that just helps a ton in like, I don't know, visualizing the whole thing, but also probably preparing better for it. And that was really my first experience with navigation and like actually having to do it. I've, played around with it, but it's different when you need to figure it out because you're out there. So that will pay off huge and will also like help me maybe shape some better practice in navigation.
Okay, so Courtney, if you didn't have the company of Liz and Maggie and Greg and everyone else, how do you think you would have done on your own or with some other virgins?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think
You would have done great.
I think you would have.
He would have got to
He
the
should have
book.
been in the harem. She would have been with Hiram. No, I'm just kidding.
I have no idea. We'll never know.
The thing is, so they tell you to follow a veteran because like your navigation can get you to the general location, but like understanding his directions and just saving time, not wasting like looking for things and trying to figure out the clues. It's just helpful. Is it impossible? No, like there's people that have gotten themselves around a bunch of loops, but like it's just slower. So, I think you could have done it.
Yeah, sure. All of you could have done it. Would any of you have been comfortable if you'd been left alone and you had to do the loop without anyone else around you?
I mean, I was mentally prepared for that because you have to be.
Yeah.
So I was pretty confident. I would have preferred to be with someone. I wanted to be with someone more experienced, which was literally only Jamil or Jared. There was a really big lack of experience there. So there was like, then beyond that, there's like me and my measly 3 loops. Then there was some veterans that hadn't been there since 2014 and things like that, so but I was mentally prepared to be like, okay, you're on your own. I have no idea how that would have gone, but obviously I made a lot of mistakes that Jamil corrected. So it was nice being with him and learning from someone who has more experience. I think that's like super valuable.
Okay. And Liz, so Frozen Head State Park is a little more familiar for you. How do you think you would have fared if you were alone?
Just like Maggie, I was mentally prepared to be out there. And I think all that being out there and, running on the maintained trails does for me is I get to know the lay of the land a little better. Still doesn't help you when there's a certain rickety tree that he's trying to describe to you that's 2 miles off trail. But when you have already done a loop and you kind of know like, oh, that's the saddle between the two mountains that I should aim for. That's not a natural feature that goes away. So things like that are really helpful. And at least when you are on trail, you do kind of remember, oh yeah, that's where we all dropped off the trail, last year during our loop or whatever it might be. So things like that are really helpful. And then of course, just training to be as strong as humanly possible, as strong as possible for me on the marked trails. That's where even experienced navigators are going to lose time when they actually have 2 miles of runnable trail and they're so strong at climbing, but they're kind of worn out on running. I think that's what can even get some of the stronger navigators out there. So yeah, I was mentally prepared to be alone, but again, I think we had way more fun together. At least I think I had more fun.
I think we all got to 2 loops in crappy conditions because we're all together. Like separately, I don't know we would have got that far. I mean, even Jamil said he was ready to kind of take quitter's road because he was so hypothermic, and he saw us wind down the switchbacks and he's like, well, now I gotta go. So I think we all got 2 loops just because we were together. And that's kind of like what's cool about Barkley is like people say you go out there to suffer alone, and I think that's what happens on your 5th loop. But a lot of times you're with people the whole time, and it's just like this whole team thing.
Okay, so if it had gone amazingly well, everything was on track, and all 3 of you and Jamil were on your 4th loop, finished your 4th loop, and about to start the 5th loop, that would mean that all of you would have had to go in different directions. Is that right?
But if that happened and we all got there at the same time, we'd each have a buddy, so it'd be okay.
Yeah. Oh,
We
that's
would
so much
high-five,
imagining to do. Like we all made it to loop 5, and then it'd be the most people on a loop 5 ever. It would break the internet.
It would break Laz, I think. He'd be like,
Yeah.
That would
"This isn't hard
He would
enough."
have to make the course
That
would
the
be
first
unpassable.
time that any women made it to the 5th loop. So that would already be like,
Yeah.
Twitter would be like losing its mind.
Yeah, but that's only a matter of time that happens, right?
I believe that. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely. Look, we've got Maggie Guterl, champion of the world with Big's backyard, and then Courtney Dauwalter, also champion of the world with backyard ultras, and Liz
Canty.
General.
That's what you're gonna say. Just go and then go and Liz Canty, and that's it.
No,
There's no
that's
titles.
she hasn't done a backyard yet, but she will.
I did go to backyard.
She did, yeah. She did it in 2019, right?
Yeah, 28 hours. Nothing
28
impressive.
hours,
Just enough for me to go like, oh, my knee kind of hurts and I'm really tired and I can't make time anymore. But I would love to get back into backyard. I enjoyed that format. Next to Barkley, second to Barkley. That's my favorite race format.
Liz, you have a decade to destroy your body and you're fast now. So maybe you know what kills me is 50 miles.
I hate those 2 now. I'm just gonna stick with the long stuff. I'll never enjoyed being fast. It's not my thing.
You're fast. You're really fast. She's the Barkley Loop, Barkley Challenge Loop FKT holder. Both directions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For the moment,
But
yeah.
I'm gonna go for that before I get too old.
Yeah, no, everyone should. I continue to do that, and then I generally get lost at garden spot. I do garden spot wrong, like it's my job. And I do it, and I execute it at the Barkley Marathons. Fine. I go to do this stupid FKT, and I go, wait a minute, where? Disaster.
So you got to get to the point where you can do it in your sleep or with your eyes closed, as in particular, because with the fog, it's like doing it with your eyes closed, pretty much, isn't it?
When we were at Garden Spot, it was your eyes were closed. You couldn't see. I couldn't even see the ground. Like I thought it was on the trail, and I walked into the woods. Like,
is there
So we saw that
trail that you're on? I mean, like, a trail, or is it just you make it up as you go along?
Sometimes there's trails, sometimes there's what he
Yeah.
calls roads. Yeah. And then sometimes there's actual road, but sometimes the trail, it's just so hard to see your feet. You can't even tell where the trail is, especially like if there's a bunch of leaves on the trail, you don't know where it is.
Okay. So I've had you ladies on for, near over an hour and a half now. I could go on for ages just listening to your stories. What is next? Okay, so I have been stalking you 3, and I told you this at the start, so it's, full disclosure. So I know, only because Ultra Sign Up says it, that Maggie and Courtney, you're signed up for Big's this year, later this year, right? Big's Backyard Ultra. Liz, you're not signed up for Big's Backyard Ultra, but you could be. Is that right?
I think his wait list is like 50 deep of people who have gone over 40 hours. So there'd have to be something bad would have to happen.
On it, Liz.
No, I signed up. I am like way down the wait list.
Perfect.
If
Okay.
he starts, that would be a dream come true. Yeah.
Great.
Like, God forbid the pandemic continues or something.
Yeah, we probably all just have to get vaccinated. I actually have my first vaccination tomorrow, I think. What about Courtney and Maggie? So Liz, you're vaccinated now, right?
Mm-hmm. Both doses, yep.
Yeah. Courtney and Liz, is it on the horizon?
Yeah, so
Sorry,
I got
Maggie.
mine.
Yep. And Colorado, where Maggie and I both are, just opened it up to all adults, basically. So hopefully everyone will start to be able to get an appointment and get their vaccinations.
Yay. Just hang out.
Yeah.
Just hang out at Walgreens at closing time or something.
Yeah.
Apparently, if they don't use all the doses, they'll have to bin them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how my dad got one, because Pennsylvania's a little behind, and my mom got him on a list. Even though he's 72, he would have had to like wait a lot longer. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, it's all different with every state. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everyone stays safe. So just going back to what's next, so Biggs is up, and I see Courtney, you've registered for Hard Rock as well. How's maybe I'll get Dale on next, and we can chat about Hard Rock. And he was one of the first people to do the Colorado Trail.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
1988, I think it was.
Yeah. He was in a group of people who they did the Colorado Trail, and then when they finished it, it was supposed to have this big celebration at the Denver end of it. But they had been out there for weeks hiking this trail and got stopped like a day away from it. And they were like, you can't finish yet. The party's not set up. So they had to wait to finish their trek. Yeah, you should have him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like, we just want to shower. Yeah, so Hard Rock is on the calendar for this summer, which will be really fun. And I've conned Maggie into crewing for me and sharing some miles with me. So it'll be cool because we both, live in the general area.
Yeah.
I've been training for 2 years for this because that's how long she's been in, and it's been canceled twice.
Yeah. So fingers crossed that not too many races get canceled this year. And Liz, I know you were signed up for Cruel Jewel next month. No, in May.
In May, yep.
In May. Any other races on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm in CCC in France in the summer. We'll see if that happens. I don't even think we bought our plane ticket yet, but my husband finally got his, the number of times you're in the lottery and you eventually get let in. He finally got into UTMB after several years, so we're going regardless. And I quit CCC in 2019 with an injury, so I'm looking forward to actually crossing the finish line if they get to have it. And then after that, I'm just looking at different FKTs for the fall. If I've got to do this 100-miler in 2 months, I don't want to do another 100-miler in the fall unless I get into Biggs, in which case I'll do multiple 100
It'll be
milers.
more than 100
No,
miles. Sure. Yeah, I think between the three of you, right, you've all run more miles than you could have run around the world several times with the mileage you've all accumulated now. I don't know how many pairs of shoes you must have worn out in the time you've been running. So okay, ladies, well, we're gonna wrap it up. I would like to say that it's been super inspiring just talking to all of you. I would love to see all of you, and it's an open invitation, come over to Singapore and come try somewhere that's flat and hot and humid. How does that sound for selling it? You could get
perfect.
pina coladas as well. We'll make
It's like my every day. That's what I read. It's my life. But it sounds like better scenery than Alabama and Confederate flags. So maybe it'll be better.
Can we come in winter? I want to come in winter. That sounds great.
You can absolutely come in winter. So I also have an events company called Fat Bird Events, and we put on this backyard ultra here. So we can organize a special event any time of the year for you guys. Just tell us what you want, how many hours you want to run, or if it's going to be open-ended, and we'll sort it out. No problem.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Right. We can do the round the island. So a couple of guys, round the island's 200 kilometers, which is, walk in the park for all of you. And I think you'll enjoy it. It's there's no shade at all. And you're gonna have to carry everything you need. But we'll get personal
awesome.
bicycle pacers with you so they can carry all your stuff maybe.
That would be really fun. We should come do that as a group adventure.
Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely. Or when the borders open, run from Singapore through to Malaysia up to Thailand.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be awesome.
oh my God.
Yeah. So we'll plan.
These are all the
plan
places
an
I've never been.
adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, that
sometime.
sounds great. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all. Liz, Courtney, Maggie, thank you so much for being on. Also, I think Maggie wanted to do a quick shout out. You've got a blog chat coming up. Is that
Oh yeah,
right?
I did like a quick write-up and I had Courtney and Liz help me. So that would be in the future of when this is being recorded, but maybe simultaneously as to when this is released. We don't know. But
Okay.
if you're watching this and you haven't checked that out, we answered a couple questions about Barkley that we might have not covered here, but this is pretty in depth. So hopefully we'll share all that and everyone can consume as much Barkley as they want.
Cool. Give me a day or two to maybe do some editing. I have no idea if this is going to be edited or not, but it'll definitely be out there. And if anyone can sit through an hour and 40 minutes of us yapping away, I think it's been absolutely awesome, ladies. I really look forward to, seeing you all race again and having a chat with all of you again sometime soon, either here or in the US.
Yeah,
It's
thanks,
great to
Jeri.
meet you, Jerry.
All right.
And nice
Thanks
to
for
see you,
having
Courtney and
us all
Maggie.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
See you
Have a
guys.
I'm
great
gonna come to
night.
Colorado.
Yeah.
I'm coming to Colorado.
Everybody's going to Colorado. Let's do it.
Everyone.
All right.
See
ya.
Bye, guys.